Pioneering India's space tech and satellite communications revolution, Dr. Subba Rao Pavuluri is a renowned Indian space scientist and entrepreneur who has played a transformative role in India's space technology and satellite communication sectors. Often hailed as the granddad of India's space tech startup ecosystem, Dr. Pavuluri's journey spans from a distinguished stint at the Indian Space Research Organisation (ISRO) to founding one of India's first private space companies. As the chairman and managing director of Ananth Technologies Limited (ATL), which he founded in the early 1990s, he has been at the forefront of integrating private enterprise with India's space missions. Under his leadership, ATL has grown into a critical partner for ISRO, contributing to numerous satellite launches, planetary missions, and defense projects. Today, in his 70s, Dr. Pavuluri remains as energetic and visionary as ever, spearheading the launch of India's first privately developed geosynchronous communication satellite and championing the creation of digital highways to connect remote regions via satellites. This documentary presents a comprehensive overview of Dr. Pavuluri's life, professional journey, and contributions, as well as insights into ATL's rise, the evolution of geostationary, satellite communications, and comparisons with emerging space-based broadband providers. Dr. Subba Rao Pavuluri hails from Andhra Pradesh, India. He completed his undergraduate engineering degree at the National Institute of Technology Calicut, NIT Calicut, in 1974. An exemplary student with a passion for science, he pursued higher studies thereafter, eventually earning a master's, ME, and a PhD in engineering. This strong educational foundation in engineering and technology prepared Dr. Pavuluri for a career in the nascent Indian space program, which was taking shape in the 1970s and 1980s. Inspired by India's early space achievements, Dr. Pavuluri joined the Indian Space Research Organisation, ISRO, as a scientist. At ISRO, he gained hands-on experience in satellite technology and launch vehicles during a critical period of growth for the Indian space program. He has often mentioned being inspired by great Indian space leaders and thinkers. In personal life, the most inspirational person to me has been Swami Vivekananda. Take up one idea, make that one idea your life, think of it, dream of it, live on that idea, Dr. Pavuluri recalls. Professionally, he was mentored by luminaries like Professor Satish Dhawan, Professor U.R. Rao, Dr. K. Kasturarangan, and others who led India's space and defense projects. These influences instilled in him a deep sense of confidence, nationalism, and commitment to excellence. Working at ISRO for over a decade, Dr. Pavuluri contributed to several key projects. One of his fondest early memories was the successful deployment of an Indian remote sensing (IRS) satellite and seeing its data applied to national development. This experience reinforced his belief in the power of space technology to drive societal progress. As he rose through the ranks to become a division head at ISRO, he observed the wider potential of space applications beyond government programs. He began formulating ideas on how satellite technology could be leveraged more broadly for commercial and developmental purposes, ideas that were ahead of their time in the pre-1990s era when India's space sector was entirely government-driven. During his tenure at ISRO, Dr. Pavuluri specialized in aerospace electronics and avionics. He was involved in developing reliable systems for satellites and launch vehicles, experiences that would later prove invaluable. By the late 1980s, he had assumed a leadership role, heading a division and overseeing teams working on critical mission components. Colleagues recall his precision and focus, likening his sharp focus to the precision-engineered rockets he worked with. Dr. Pavuluri's commitment to ISRO's missions, whether launching India's early INSAT communication satellites or IRS Earth observation satellites, earned him respect as a visionary engineer with an entrepreneurial mindset. In 1991-92, as India's economy began liberalizing, Dr. Pavuluri made a bold proposal within ISRO. He foresaw that space technology, especially satellite services, could significantly contribute to India's development if commercialized. When he decided to resign from ISRO to pursue this vision, he submitted an in-depth report outlining the commercial potential of India's space sector. In that report, he analyzed future needs. India would require many more Earth observation satellites to reduce the 22-day revisit times of IRS satellites and more communication satellites to meet growing bandwidth. He posed forward-looking questions: how many satellites and launches would India need? What would they cost? And argued that a vast untapped potential existed for a new commercial ecosystem in space. This visionary document reflected Dr. Pavuluri's belief that private industry could complement ISRO by building satellites, operating services, and thus accelerate national development. At the time, such ideas were far ahead of government policy. As he noted, the policy shift he hoped for didn't materialize immediately. Nonetheless, this did not deter him. It set the stage for his next big leap. One anecdote Dr. Pavuluri shared was the moment India's IRS satellite data was first used for practical applications like agriculture and resource mapping. He described this as a nostalgic moment in his journey, seeing satellite technology directly benefit the nation. This success strengthened his resolve that satellites could revolutionize fields like mapping, tele-education, and communication if more widely deployed. Founded Ananth Technologies, ATL, in 1992-93, Dr. Subba Rao Pavuluri took the courageous step of leaving his prestigious ISRO career to start a private venture. He founded Ananth Technologies Limited, ATL, in Hyderabad in 1993. This was a pioneering move, a bold move, taken nearly 3 decades before India formally opened its space sector to private participation. At a time when hardly any space startups existed in India, Dr. Pavuluri's decision was driven by conviction in his vision. The initial goal for ATL was to indigenize advanced avionics and aerospace systems for India's space and defense programs. In practice, this meant ATL would design, develop, and fabricate high-reliability subsystems that ISRO could use in satellites and rockets. Dr. Pavuluri started ATL as a small engineering company, working closely with ISRO's teams. In the absence of a formal policy for private space ventures, ATL operated as an industrial partner to ISRO, supplying electronic packages, navigation units, control systems, and other critical hardware. Dr. Pavuluri's deep understanding of ISRO's quality and mission requirements helped ATL thrive as a trusted vendor. The 1990s were not easy for a private space company in India. Government orders were the main source of business since private satellite services were not yet permitted. However, Dr. Pavuluri patiently grew ATL by focusing on quality, reliability, and innovation. He often emphasizes confidence and unwavering commitment, values he imbibed from Swami Vivekananda's teachings, as keys to overcoming challenges. By the late 1990s and early 2000s, ATL had begun making a name for itself as a go-to supplier for mission-critical components in ISRO's launches. Over time, ATL's contributions expanded from making small components to delivering entire subsystems and aiding in assembly. Dr. Pavuluri recalls that ATL's relationship with ISRO has been one of partnership and pride. Ananth Technologies has been a trusted partner for ISRO. We have played an integral role in several of ISRO's successful missions by providing innovative avionics and systems, he noted. This partnership was evident in many milestones of the Indian space program. Today, Ananth Technologies Limited, ATL, is India's leading private aerospace contractor, and its journey under Dr. Pavuluri's leadership is studded with achievements. As of early 2025, ATL has supplied critical systems for nearly 103 satellites and around 83 launch vehicles of ISRO, an incredible footprint in India's space endeavors. These range from remote sensing satellites, communication satellites, navigation satellites, like those in the NAVIC system, and even interplanetary mission craft. Notably, ATL provided electronic subsystems for missions such as Chandrayaan, Moon mission, and Mangalyaan, Mars orbiter, exemplifying its role in India's planetary exploration, as hinted by contributions to various planetary missions. ATL specializes in high-reliability avionics, guidance and control systems, and onboard electronics. For instance, in ISRO's 100th launch, the GSLV F-15 mission carrying the NVS-2 navigation satellite in 2023, ATL delivered critical components. The company supplied the attitude and orbit control electronics, star sensors, DC-DC power converters for the NVS-2 satellite, and 40 vital subsystems for the GSLV rocket itself, including data acquisition units, transponders, power modules, relay units, etc. Such contributions were key to the success of that landmark launch. Dr. Pavuluri ensured ATL not only makes parts, but can also integrate entire systems. ATL became the first private Indian company to set up full-fledged assembly, integration, and testing facilities for both satellites and launch vehicles. At its Bengaluru and Hyderabad centers, ATL has assembled and tested numerous spacecraft components. Impressively, ATL has provided 8 services for 10 full PSLV rocket missions, PSLV C-51 through PSLV C-60, and is integrating more currently. It also fully integrated the 2 satellites of ISRO's SPA-DEX space docking experiment at its facility. In the SPA-DEX mission, launched in 2023, ATL's team delivered rendezvous and docking processing units and multiple subsystems and carried out end-to-end testing of the experiment satellites. This made ATL an integral part of India's first in-orbit docking experiment, a proud achievement for a private firm. Beyond Indian missions, ATL has built satellite components for international clients as well. In the early 2020s, it even entered a joint venture to manufacture satellites for global customers. In 2020, ATL partnered with US-based Saturn Satellites to form SAN Satellite Networks India, aiming to build 2 small communication satellites, 300 to 700 kilograms class, and launch them on PSLV rockets. This made ATL one of the first Indian companies to tap the global market after space sector reforms. Although global competition is stiff, ATL leverages India's cost advantages, up to 30% cheaper satellite manufacturing, and its talent base to win international contracts. From a small startup, ATL has grown to employ over 1,600 highly skilled professionals across Hyderabad, Bengaluru, and Tiruvananthapuram. Dr. Pavuluri prides himself on building a team that meets world-class standards in aerospace engineering. ATL's facilities include clean rooms, electronics fabrication labs, environmental test chambers, and more, enabling it to deliver end-to-end satellite manufacturing. This robust infrastructure and talent pool underscore ATL's position as a bridge between India's public space program and the emerging private space industry. ISRO's achievements over the last 2 decades, from launching 100-plus successful missions to deploying new satellite constellations, have quietly benefited from private partners like ATL. Observers note that ATL's work has reinforced its critical role in India's growing space capabilities. Dr. Pavuluri often emphasizes that these accomplishments are immensely satisfying rather than personal trophies. By providing quality subsystems and services, ATL ensured missions stayed on schedule and succeeded, validating Dr. Pavuluri's early belief that private industry can significantly enhance a national space program. Building India's private space ecosystem beyond running ATL, Dr. Pavuluri has become a thought leader and industry champion in India's space sector. He recognized early that one company alone cannot fulfill the country's space ambitions. An entire ecosystem of private players and supportive policies is needed. Dr. Pavuluri serves as the President of SIA-India, an industry body representing satellite communications players. In this role, he advocates for policy reforms to enable satellite broadband and other space services. One major policy stance he took was opposing the auction of satellite spectrum. He argued that treating satellite bandwidth like mobile telephony spectrum would hinder the nascent industry. The government heeded such advice and opted for administrative allocation of spectrum for satellites. This decision, he notes, will allow Indian companies to more easily launch satellite internet services without the exorbitant costs of spectrum bids. Dr. Pavuluri envisions multiple homegrown satellite internet providers emerging, complementing foreign players like Starlink and OneWeb, because India's demand is so vast that there is room for multiple providers. Under his leadership, SIA-India has become a key forum linking industry, ISRO, in space, the regulatory agency, and Department of Telecommunications, to craft supportive regulations. He has also co-chaired the Space Committee of industry bodies like FICCI, Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, and advised government initiatives for encouraging startups, e.g., he interacted with Niti Aayog on deep tech startups. In these roles, Dr. Pavuluri presses for inclusive policies that let private firms build rockets, operate satellites, and offer services, while partnering with ISRO. His own success with ATL serves as a model showing that Indian private companies, given the opportunity, can meet and often exceed international standards in space tech. He strongly believes India can become a global hub for satellite and launch vehicle manufacturing by leveraging its talent and cost advantages. This vision aligns with the government's push since 2020 to open the space sector to private enterprise. Considered a pioneer, Dr. Pavuluri often mentors young space entrepreneurs. He encourages youngsters that have more opportunities than we had. Pursue your chosen field with passion, put in best efforts, manasa, vacha, karmana, with mind, speech, and action, then victory will be yours. He has been vocal that while startups will drive innovation in areas like small satellite constellations, they need initial government support due to high capital requirements and long development cycles. This balanced perspective, optimism about startup innovation and realism about support, has helped shape initiatives like InSpace's startup grants and ISRO's tech transfer programs. Dr. Pavuluri has strategically partnered ATL with both international and domestic entities to bolster capabilities. The joint venture SAN Satellite Networks with an American firm for building small SATs is one example. ATL also collaborates with other Indian companies for specialized needs. For instance, ATL and firms like Bell and HAL work in tandem on certain defense space projects, reflecting Dr. Pavuluri's collaborative approach to building an ecosystem. In sum, Dr. Pavuluri's role extends beyond his company. He is helping shape India's space policy and industry structure in the 21st century. Thanks in part to advocates like him, India today has a vibrant private space sector that includes rocket startups, satellite makers, and downstream application providers. ATL's high-throughput geo-satellite initiative, one of the most exciting projects under Dr. Pavuluri's leadership, is ATL's plan to launch India's first privately developed geo-satellite for broadband communication. This marks a new chapter where an Indian private company moves from supplying ISRO to operating its own satellite system. Dr. Pavuluri often speaks of creating digital superhighways in India via satellites. The idea is to reach the remotest villages with high-speed internet connectivity using satellites, thereby transforming education, healthcare, and economic opportunities. Classes can be conducted in the remotest areas through digital highways. Bandwidth, anyone with the aptitude can learn, without worrying about physical college seats, he explains. This vision aligns with the Indian government's Digital India program and the goal of bridging the urban-rural digital divide. ATL is currently developing a high-throughput satellite, HTS, in geosynchronous orbit. It has secured a frequency slot for this communication satellite, an important regulatory milestone accomplished in coordination with ISRO and DOT. The satellite is being designed to provide over 100 gigabits per second of broadband capacity using Ka-band frequencies. Dr. Pavuluri notes that the ATL-HTS will likely exceed 100 gigabits per second and is poised to deliver high-speed connectivity across India, including the most remote areas, guided by the principle of Antyodaya, uplifting the poorest. This would make it one of the highest capacity satellites ever built in India. True to his philosophy of self-reliance, Dr. Pavuluri insists that the entire value chain, design, assembly, integration, testing, and launch, is done in India. The satellite will weigh under 4 tons so that it can be launched on ISRO's GSLV MKII rocket, also called LVM-3. By using Indian launch vehicles and building the satellite domestically, ATL is ensuring the project boosts local industry and know-how. The target is to launch this private GEO satellite by 2028. As of mid-2025, ATL's teams are focused on subsystem design and integration. Building a large communication satellite is a complex, multi-year endeavor, but ATL's experience with subsystems and recent expansion into full satellite integration positions it well to meet this goal. Dr. Pavuluri candidly acknowledges challenges in such a private SATCOM venture. One major hurdle is international frequency coordination, since satellite orbits and spectrum are tightly managed worldwide. ATL, as a non-government entity, NGE, has to coordinate through international bodies to avoid interference, a process traditionally dominated by governments. Additionally, securing the heavy investment required and ensuring affordable user terminals, VSATs, for end users are concerns. He emphasizes that NGEs will require government support in the initial stages due to long gestation and capital intensity. Fortunately, the Indian government's space reforms and the creation of InSpace provide a more supportive framework now. Dr. Pavuluri's own influence via SIA-India likely helped in obtaining clearances and spectrum on favorable terms. Socioeconomic impact: once operational, ATL's high-throughput satellite could be a game-changer for rural India. It aims to connect thousands of villages with broadband, enabling e-learning, telemedicine, e-governance kiosks, and small businesses to access global markets. In Dr. Pavuluri's words, this project is aligned with the Digital India vision and aspires to bring transformative changes to rural development and economic self-reliance. Moreover, the project will create jobs, over 1,000 high-skilled jobs in satellite manufacturing and operations, plus thousands of indirect jobs in rural areas where local entrepreneurs will install and maintain ground terminals. Thus, the satellite is not just a business venture, but a developmental mission. In summary, ATL's Geo Broadband Satellite Initiative underscores Dr. Pavuluri's dual commitment to technological excellence and national development. If successful, it will solidify ATL's position as a private satellite operator and set a precedent for others to follow in India's space sector. Satellite broadband providers. In context, Dr. Pavuluri's foray into satellite broadband comes at a time of rapid evolution in space-based internet services globally. Understanding how ATL's approach compares to other providers requires a look at the two main paradigms: geostationary, GEO, satellites versus low Earth orbit, LEO, constellations for broadband. These satellites orbit at approximately 36,000 kilometers above the equator and remain fixed relative to a point on Earth. Traditionally, GEO satellites, like India's own INSAT, GSAT series, have been used for communications, TV, telephony, some internet, in India for decades. Modern GEO broadband satellites are high-throughput satellites, HTS, using spot beam technology to achieve high data rates. Examples of GEO-based broadband providers globally include Viasat and HughesNet, which serve consumers in remote areas, especially in North America. India too has HTS like GSAT-11, which provides Ku-band capacity. ATL's planned satellite falls in this category, a large GEO bird covering India with dozens of beams, optimized for the internet. A single GEO satellite covers a huge area, e.g., one satellite can cover all of India. Only a few satellites, typically 3 to 5, can blanket the globe, except polar regions. User terminals can be simple fixed dishes since the satellite appears stationary. Well-proven technology and integration with existing telecom networks is straightforward. Latency is high, approximately 600 milliseconds round trip, due to the distance, which can affect real-time applications. Also, each GEO has a finite capacity, even 100 gigabits per second, while large, can be consumed quickly in a big country. Launching large GEO satellites is expensive, and if one satellite fails, service in that region is lost until a replacement is in place. These involve hundreds or thousands of satellites orbiting at 500 to 1,200 kilometers altitude, constantly moving and forming a mesh network. The latest entrants in this domain are SpaceX's Starlink and OneWeb, with Amazon's Project Kuiper in development. Starlink, as of 2025, has deployed over 4,000 LEO satellites of a planned approximately 42,000, providing broadband to many countries. OneWeb has deployed about 600 satellites of a planned 648, and unlike Starlink, OneWeb's model works with national telecom partners. In India, OneWeb is partly owned by Bharti Airtel. These systems promise to deliver connectivity even in hard-to-reach locations. Low latency, 20 to 40 milliseconds, comparable to fiber, making them suitable for video calls, online gaming, etc. High global capacity because the network can be scaled by adding more satellites. If designed right, LEO constellations can deliver very high aggregate throughput spread across many satellites and serve many users concurrently. They also cover polar areas and can hand off service as satellites move, offering truly global reach. Enormous investment and complexity, thousands of satellites need manufacturing, launching, and constant replacements. LEO satellites have 5 to 7 year lifespans typically. User terminals must track moving satellites, which makes them more complex. Starlink's dish, for example, electronically steers to follow satellites. There's also the issue of orbital debris and spectrum sharing among mega constellations. In India, regulatory hurdles exist. Starlink, for example, had to pause selling pre-orders in 2021 because it hadn't obtained an operating license, and the government is formulating rules for non-Indian constellations to operate. There are also MEO systems, e.g., O3b powered by SES, orbiting approximately 8,000 kilometers, which try to blend some advantages of both. Dr. Pavuluri himself notes that a multi-orbit approach, combining LEO, MEO, and GEO, will be crucial to meet India's needs. This means no one system will suffice. Different use cases might use different orbits, e.g., GEO for broadcast and steady rural connectivity, LEO for low-latency applications, MEO for trunk connections, etc. ATL's high-throughput GEO satellite is in line with India's traditional preference for GEO systems, given ISRO's expertise in building and launching large GEO satellites. It will directly compete with or complement services like BharatNet via Satcom, the government's initiative to use satellites for connecting villages, and international GEO providers. However, it will also indirectly compete with LEO services in the Indian market. If permitted in India, Starlink would cater directly to consumers with a promised approximately 100 megabits per second service per user. ATL's GEO satellite could also deliver high-speed links, but possibly to community centers or local ISPs, which then distribute via Wi-Fi or fiber to end users, a more likely model in India. In terms of cost, Dr. Pavuluri believes Indian providers can be very competitive in pricing and that there is enough demand for everyone. Starlink's latency advantage might not be critical for basic users, and GEO satellites have the advantage of established reliability. OneWeb has a strong India connection. Bharti Global is a major investor. It plans to serve India's telecom operators to extend connectivity to remote areas. ATL's project, with support from ISRO and DOT, is a more indigenously controlled capability. OneWeb satellites fly lower, requiring more ground stations. ATL's GEO would require far fewer ground gateways. Both aim to serve rural areas, but OneWeb may focus on enterprise and government clients via telcos, whereas ATL could potentially serve both government programs, like connecting panchayats, schools, and private internet service providers. Another player, Geo Satellite Communications, a unit of Reliance Jio, has partnered with SES to use its O3b MEO satellites to deliver broadband in India. This is yet another strategy: use a foreign MEO constellation to quickly add capacity. ATL's project, in contrast, is fully Indian-owned and operated. Also, the government's own satellites, like GSAT-19, GSAT-11, upcoming GSAT-24, HTS, provide capacity leased to companies like Hughes India and Tata Nelco for VSAT services. ATL will join this mix as a private capacity provider. It's noteworthy that Dr. Pavuluri advocated for administrative allocation of spectrum, instead of auction, precisely so that Indian firms like ATL, Jio, etc., can launch satellites and offer services without an auction cost barrier, thus encouraging more players. India's demand for connectivity is so great, with 1 billion-plus people and initiatives to connect 600,000 villages, that Dr. Pavuluri sees a huge opportunity for multiple systems. A recent report by InSpace, ISRO, and DOT projected an exponential rise in bandwidth demand, requiring significant satellite capacity across all orbits. In his words, this isn't about competition in the conventional sense, with Starlink, OneWeb, but about collectively filling a broadband gap. In summary, ATL's GEO satellite will place it among traditional satellite broadband providers, focusing on high-capacity coverage over India. While LEO constellations grab headlines, GEO satellites remain a crucial part of the connectivity ecosystem, especially for countries like India where ground infrastructure is uneven. Dr. Pavuluri's initiative is therefore both timely and strategically aligned with India's needs, offering an indigenous alternative or complement to foreign LEO networks. Educational and service initiatives. Dr. Subba Rao Pavuluri's contributions extend beyond engineering and business. He has been actively involved in education and service to society, often leveraging his expertise and network for the public good. As an alumnus of NIT Calicut, Dr. Pavuluri has given back to his alma mater in a significant way. He was the driving force behind establishing a Center for Space Science and Technology on the NIT Calicut campus. This world-class facility, meeting actual space lab standards, is designed to encourage university students to pursue space research. Under Dr. Pavuluri's guidance, NIT Calicut even forged a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, with ISRO to set up a Center of Excellence for Student Satellites. The MOU, signed in February 2025 with ISRO's former chairman Drive South, Samanath present, opens the doors for NIT and other institutions' students to get hands-on experience building satellites and working on space projects. By enabling such infrastructure, Dr. Pavuluri is adding value to our alma mater, say fellow alumni. This initiative will inspire and train the next generation of space scientists and engineers, creating a pipeline of talent for India's space endeavors. ATL under Dr. Pavuluri's leadership has undertaken various corporate social responsibility (CSR) projects. One focus area is improving STEM education. ATL frequently sponsors or conducts workshops, competitions, and ATL Space Labs in schools to ignite young minds, not to be confused with ATL Tinkering Labs, though coincidentally the acronym ATL is the same. The principle of anti-odaya, uplifting the marginalized, that guides their satellite project also reflects in community activities. For example, ATL has donated equipment to rural schools and provided scholarships to underprivileged students pursuing aerospace studies. These efforts, while not always publicized, stem from Dr. Pavuluri's personal commitment to social upliftment through knowledge. Dr. Pavuluri often engages with universities, aside from NITC, institutes like IITs, IISc, etc., delivering lectures on space technology trends. He mentors student teams participating in CUBE satellite competitions and hackathons. By sharing stories from his ISRO days and ATL's journey, he motivates students to innovate and not fear failure. His core message is about having faith in oneself, echoing Swami Vivekananda's words, faith in yourself, which he cites often. This emphasis on self-confidence and continuous learning makes him a role model for young engineers. Apart from SIA-India, Dr. Pavuluri is active in bodies like the Aeronautical Society of India, AESI, and the Astronautical Society of India. He has served in organizing committees for conferences, like the International Astronautical Congress when held in India, and has been a jury member for national awards in science. His presence in these forums helps champion causes like indigenization and strategic autonomy in space tech. In all these ways, Dr. Pavuluri extends his impact beyond ATL's business. He is nurturing an ecosystem of education, skill development, and public appreciation for space science. Colleagues describe him as not just a corporate leader but also a mentor and patriot who believes that space technology today is no longer optional, it is central to securing our national interests. Awards and recognitions. Dr. Subba Rao Pavuluri's lifetime of contributions has been widely recognized through numerous awards and honors. In late 2024, Dr. Pavuluri was honored with the prestigious Aryabhata Award by the Astronautical Society of India, ASI. This is one of India's highest accolades in the field of astronautics, awarded annually to individuals who have made outstanding contributions to the promotion of astronautics in India. The award, named after both the ancient astronomer Aryabhata and India's first satellite Aryabhata, 1975, is a fitting recognition of Dr. Pavuluri's pioneering role in advancing India's space capabilities. Along with the Aryabhata Award, he was also conferred the title of ASI Distinguished Fellow for his lifetime achievements. Distinguished Fellow of Aeronautical Society of India, Dr. Pavuluri is a Distinguished Fellow of the Aeronautical Society of India, AESI, the country's premier institution for aerospace professionals. This title, awarded alongside the Aryabhata Award, acknowledges his contributions to both aeronautics and astronautics. It highlights the cross-cutting impact of his work, spanning satellite technology, spacecraft, as well as launch vehicles and defense avionics, aeronautics. Other honors: he has received other awards such as Industry Excellence Awards for Technology Leadership and recognition from ISRO for his contributions. Though specifics are less public, ATL under his leadership has won several Technology Excellence Awards in the aerospace sector. His peers often refer to him with deep respect. Informally, many call him a true thought leader who has radically transformed the Indian private space landscape. While not an award per se, the moniker Grandad of India's space tech startups is a form of recognition by the community of his pioneering status. Dr. Pavuluri has been invited as visiting faculty or adjunct professor at various institutions, where he has been honored for his lectures. His establishment of the Space Center at NIT Calicut led the alumni network to publicly laud him, wishing Ananth heights to Ananth Technologies in a congratulatory note. A play on words, Ananth means infinite. Such appreciation from his alma mater is another cherished honor for him. Throughout these recognitions, Dr. Pavuluri remains humble. When asked about awards, he said, "Whatever awards I received so far, besides encouraging me, made me conscious that I should strive harder to achieve more excellence in my work." This attitude of continuous improvement, rather than resting on laurels, truly characterizes his approach. Inspiring future generations. Dr. Subba Rao Pavuluri's life story, from a young engineer in coastal Andhra, to an ISRO scientist contributing to India's first satellites, to a risk-taking entrepreneur who started a company decades ahead of policy changes, and now a leader shaping the future of India's space connectivity, is nothing short of inspiring. It is a narrative of innovation, perseverance, and patriotism. His journey teaches several key lessons to aspiring technologists and entrepreneurs, especially undergraduates in the field of engineering. Dr. Pavuluri exemplifies the Swami Vivekananda mantra of dedicating oneself wholly to a great idea. His idea was that India could become a leader in space technology with the help of private enterprise, a dream he pursued when it was unorthodox to do so. Students can learn from his example to identify their passion and commit to it, manasa, vacha, karmana, with mind, speech, and action, until they achieve it. Dr. Pavuluri maintains strong links between theoretical knowledge and practical application. By supporting student satellite programs and skill centers, he shows that today's learners can be tomorrow's innovators if given the right exposure. His work in rural connectivity demonstrates a vision where high-tech solutions directly serve society's needs, a model young engineers should emulate. Over the decades, Dr. Pavuluri saw policy environments shift, from closed to open market, technology paradigms change, single satellites to constellations, and he continuously adapted. His resilience in the face of delayed policy support for private space activity is particularly instructive. Instead of giving up, he built ATL steadily so that when the opportunity came, he was ready to seize it. "What I predicted in 1992 is more or less coming true now," he noted, referring to the boom in satellites and private involvement. His foresight and patience paid off, a lesson in long-term thinking. Dr. Pavuluri's story is rooted in Indian soil but reaches for the stars. He insists on indigenous development and strategic autonomy, echoing the ethos of self-reliance, yet he also competes globally and forges international collaborations. This balance of national pride with global best practices can inspire young professionals to be globally competent but remain committed to their country's progress. As India's space sector continues to evolve, with missions to the Moon and Mars, a human spaceflight program, Gaganyaan, and an increasing role for industry, the contributions of visionaries like Dr. Subba Rao Pavuluri provide a strong foundation. The company he built, Ananth Technologies, stands as a testament to what Indian private talent can achieve in high technology. And the man himself stands as a role model for leadership, integrity, and innovation. In the words of a Sanskrit Tigaraha composition he quoted, "Andaru Mahanuvavalu, Andariki Vandanalu," which means, "All people are great souls, I bow to every one of them." Dr. Pavuluri acknowledges the greatness in others while inspiring countless individuals to reach for their own greatness. His story will continue to educate and motivate educators and students alike, lighting the way for India's next generation of space scientists and entrepreneurs.